Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, October 7, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the that's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Taking a look at the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook that just came out today from the forecaster known as Saharan, we can clearly see that for the time period from October 15 to October 21, we have some colors across the Caribbean. We have a light shades of greens into darker shades of greens that we know represents what we see here on the key on the bottom left. That's above average rainfall probability of about 50 to 65%, even up into the 80% chances over here into the Central America area. And we also see the red and white patterns and the reds as well. And we know all of that represents what we see here on the key on the bottom left. A tropical cyclone formation probability of about 20 to 40%. So it looks like it's increasingly getting very active, especially across the Caribbean, the Western Caribbean, the Eastern Pacific, the Southern Gulf. We even see some red and white patterns to the east of the Caribbean for that time period from October 15 to October 21. And we also see something similar for the time period from October 22 to October 28. But we know what these maps show aren't set in stone, so we have to stay updated to see exactly what unfolds. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather look, we can see that that area that was across the Western Caribbean has now crossed over the Yucatan and Belize. It is now situated across the Southwestern Gulf, and it still has a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days as well as within the next 7 days. We're still watching Tropical Storm Jerry right here. Well, newly formed Tropical Storm Jerry, as you can see here to the east of the island. And if we take a look at the infrared, we can make out the clouds associated with that area that has a low chance of development across the Southwestern Gulf. And we can see the clouds associated with Tropical Storm Jerry right in here. A lot of deep convection right in here. And if we take a look back, we know that if something should form of this system in the Southwestern Gulf, the next name on the list after Jerry is Karen. Regarding the close-up of Tropical Storm Jerry, we can see the deep convection associated with the system, definitely looking way more organized than what it looked like yesterday. We see the deep convection in the reds, the blacks, the grays, a lot of deep convection taking place as it continues to strengthen towards hurricane status, as we can see here from the Hurricane Center and what they've shown. It is now packing 50 mile per hour winds. So we know that system that pack anywhere from 39 to 73 mile per hour winds are classified as tropical storms. So it's down there in the intensity, not really a high-end tropical storm as yet. But as you can see, it's expected to become an H very soon, especially as it passes to the north and east of the Leeward Islands right in here. And who knows, maybe by tomorrow we see some M's in there. We know that intensity model guidance isn't really the Hurricane Center's strong suit. So it could get up into major hurricane status of anywhere from category 3 to 5. As of right now, just H's is what we're seeing. So anywhere from category 1 to category 2 intensity. As of right now, it is moving towards west at 23 miles per hour. And it should start making that more northward turn, west-northwest, then to northwest. And then eventually missing the Caribbean entirely, even though we have some yellows over here across the northern Leeward Islands that represent tropical storm watches up for maybe St. Bart's, maybe those islands, maybe Antigua and Barbuda. Very interesting. And we see that as the intensity model guidance goes, most of them keep it as tropical storm, but we see that some of them make it, take it up to hurricane status category 1. Some of them make it up to category 2, 3, 4. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, there's actually a tropical wave right here across the Caribbean, the Central Caribbean, including Jamaica. Another tropical wave across the Eastern Caribbean, the symbol associated with Tropical Storm Jerry. And we still have that frontal system extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into the Bahamas right in here. And we also have the tropical wave right here off the west coast of Africa. And if we take a look at the visible, we can make out the clouds associated with that frontal system still extending down into the Bahamas, Florida. The clouds associated with the tropical wave that brought portions of the Greater Antilles, including Jamaica, some rainfall today. And the clouds associated with that tropical wave interacting with that trough across the Eastern Caribbean. And we can definitely make out the clouds associated with Tropical Storm Jerry right over here. And I think we can make out some of the clouds associated with the tropical wave of the west coast of Africa as well. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, October 7, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast of parts of some northern and western parishes on Tuesday afternoon. We know that northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 5:05 p.m., the visible and infrared satellite images were posted on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, as well as on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can definitely see what took place, because a post was made at around 5:05 highlighting the thunderstorms that were affecting sections of especially northern and western parishes. All of these sparkling yellow dots, as we know, represent the lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And we definitely had that, especially across sections of Hanover, Westmoreland, sections of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, northern St. Andrew, into northern St. Catherine. Definitely got on some of the thunderstorm activity. And we can see the clouds even better, looking like popcorn all over the island from the central to the western end. And that upper level wind shear blowing those cloud tops off towards the south, just as we predicted. So it was definitely overcast for the most part across the southern parishes across Jamaica today. And unfortunately, we don't have the Jamaican Doppler radar to show. Still glitched out. But we do have a few comments from some of our followers confirming what the weather is like in their area today. We have Active 4081 stating Clarendon hot weather. Taya Moy coming stating St. James rainy. Thanks for confirming. Let's see, do we actually have some Facebook comments? Let us see. Oh, we have at least two of them. So we have one here from Audrey Jackson stating heavy rains in the hills of St. James. Fendi stating Portmore a bit cooler but no rain like elsewhere. We also had some comments that came in on our Instagram page. We had Edward Stanisha stating overcast skies in South Manchester all day, very cool day. Clear Doc Macam stating 1.5 hours of heavy rain in Gordon Town today, lightning. Thanks for confirming. You know that Gordon Town is in St. Andrew. We have Ogilvy Alicia stating overcast in Kingston and cool. One Ryan that underscore stating lots of lightning and thunder in Hanover, but a drizzle of rain in my area. We also have Lady Who Speaks Her Mind 876 stating pure thunder, St. Mary, no rain. We even had at least one comment that came in here on our TikTok page from legendary underscore Moni stating raining in Westmoreland now. The time here now is 5:44. Thank you for confirming what the weather is like in your area for today. Alright, so we're going to reload the very latest still image from the Northerners website, the latest Cuban Doppler radar imagery, and the latest Cayman radar imagery. We want to see exactly what's taking place right now. Alright, so the latest still image is showing 23:55 UTC, which is actually 6:55 p.m. So this just came out 8 minutes ago, considering that it is 7:03 p.m. right now. And we still have some leftover clouds across the central to the western end of the island. But most of that has to do with some overcast skies being, well, mostly cloudy skies being sheared off from the thunderstorm to the north of Hanover, to the north of St. James, to the north of Trelawney right here. And we also see some thunderstorms to the southwest of the island. Wish we had the Jamaican Doppler radar to confirm those rain bands to the north and the southwest. But it seems like the Cuban Doppler radar glitched out at around 9 a.m., which is about 8 a.m. Jamaica time. At that time, we saw some rain bands to the northeast of us. The Guantanamo Bay U.S. Navy radar still glitched out as of September 30. Hopefully they get that sorted out soon. The Cayman radar, excuse me, the Cayman radar is showing where we have some rainfall right here pushing to the south off of central Cuba. And we're also making out the rain bands right here that we saw on the infrared. We see the rain bands to the north of us, and then the cloud tops are being shot off towards the south, bringing some light rainfall to sections of some central to western parishes. And we also see the rain bands right here to the southwest of the island as well. Regarding the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18:00 on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. And we see Jamaica shaded in some slight yellows that represents at least 1 degree Celsius above average. I know the average temperature for the month of October across Jamaica is around the same as 89 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.6 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 31.6 to 32.6 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Wednesday. And unfortunately, we have a numerous maintenance outage advisories here from my GPS online shooter page that we have to highlight. And we know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Wednesday, October 8, 2025. We're referring to Cold Spring as well as Rejoin in Hanover from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Macfield in Westmoreland from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're also expecting outages in Chesterfield, Stonehenge, Lower Belfont, Ginger Hill, Claremont, and Mary Hill in St. James from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Scotts Hall in St. Mary, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Jacks Road as well as Mountain View in St. Andrew from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Oxford to Comfort Hall in St. Elizabeth from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And finally, we have Doxes, Watermount, Brownstone, Mendes Hill, and Ginger Peace, all in the parish of St. Catherine from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It stays here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing, and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day, and I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. And we see a lot of dry air extending from the coast of Africa across the main development region. We see a lot of dry air off the east coast of the US right here, extending out into the northern portion of the North Atlantic. I know the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain. But what we're liking that we're seeing is a lot of blues across portions of the southern and western main development region. We see a lot of blues across the Caribbean into the waters in and around the Gulf and in and around Central America. And we know the moist air is responsible for bringing us the cloud. You notice wherever we have the moist air in the blues, that's where we have all of the clouds in the grays, and that's what we want more of. We want more clouds so that we get more rainfall to keep water in our pipes and to cool these temperatures down. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast for the next 3 days, so we're heading into October 8, October 9, and October 10. And as you can see here, Jamaica should be in the clear for the most part. But we have some Saharan dust making its way across the main development region as we speak. Should be affecting the eastern Caribbean by about October 10. And who knows, maybe eventually Jamaica later on, maybe the weekend. And we wish we didn't have to deal with the Saharan dust, because know that the Saharan dust can definitely cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses like asthma and sinusitis issues in some people. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, it makes sense that the highest waves across the Atlantic are where we currently have Tropical Storm Jerry, right here to the east of the Caribbean, churning up some purples into the pinks into the burgundies, representing anywhere from 2 all the way up to 9 meter wave height. But the Caribbean, light shades of blues, anywhere from 0.5 for meter wave height to 1 meter wave height. And that's because of the easterly winds averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 knots. While we have the tropical storm force winds averaging anywhere from 20 all the way up to the same knots as tropical storm force winds in an anti-clockwise fashion around the center of circulation, that is Jerry. So that explains why the seas are rough in those spots. But regarding Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow, to the north of Portland 0.3 for meter wave height expected, so too the same for the north of St. Anne. To the north of St. James, however, is it gonna load for me? Okay, same thing, 0.3 for meter wave height. To the south of Clarendon, about looks like 0.1 of a meter wave height. Waves are so low, 0.2 of a meter wave height to the south of St. Thomas. And that's because of the winds that are expected tomorrow. We see the winds averaging 5 knots from the northeast to the north of St. Anne, averaging about 6 knots from the east-southeast to the south of St. Andrew, to the south of St. Elizabeth from the southeast, averaging 8 knots. And we see where the air is expected to pile up across section of some central western parishes. So that's where we could have some of these low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds during the afternoon hours. And the daytime heating could definitely lead those clouds to become some crazy cumulonimbus cloud. And not only that, the upper-level wind shear, look at the upper-level wind shear's direction, seems to be coming in from the east to northeast or the northeast for tomorrow. So if we actually get some thunderstorms to formulate across the island tomorrow, this is what the clouds would do. So unlike today where the thunderstorm clouds were being sheared off towards the south, it would be sheared off from, let's say, the northeast to the southwest, or east northeast to the west southwest. Definitely bring more of those overcast skies to section of some southern parishes for sure. And regarding the actual rainfall forecast maps now, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing the rainfall that's expected at around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. Don't pay the Euro any mind. The Euro is showing rainfall across most parishes from the eastern end to the western end. We're working with the GFS, which it looks like it's mainly across some central western parishes, with the brunt of it across the north. So if you're in Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, western Portland, section of St. Andrew, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, those are the spots that could be picking up some rainfall on Wednesday. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement that it should be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro going up to at least 0.42 of an inch of rainfall, the GFS going up to at least 0.51 of an inch of rainfall. I wonder that it could be more than that, it could be less than that. So we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it because we're in the month of October. And in St. James, whose bar graph is being shown right here, we usually receive 199 millimeters of rainfall in October. That's about the same as 7.8 inches of rainfall. In St. Elizabeth, we usually receive 148 millimeters of rainfall in October. That's about the same as 5.8 inches of rainfall. And if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of October, you can visit nomadseason.com, and that website will show you that information. Alright, so we're about to look at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to what the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer models are showing. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next 168 hours. That stands for the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represent inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so we just looked at Wednesday's forecast. Now it's time to look at what Thursday has in store for us. Thursday morning, the Euro shows rainfall to the south of us. Thursday afternoon, some rainfall across some northern and western parishes on the Euro. What does the GFS show? Thursday morning, some isolated showers to the south of us. Thursday afternoon, looks like some rainfall across some central western parishes. On Friday morning, not really seeing much of anything across Jamaica. On Friday afternoon, looks like some rainfall across some central western parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Friday morning, not really much of anything. Friday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some eastern, central, western parishes. What do we see on Saturday morning on the Euro? Saturday morning, we're actually seeing a lot of moisture across some southern and eastern parishes, especially the waters to the southeast of us. Then on Saturday afternoon, we're seeing some rainfall across some eastern, northern, and western parishes. What do we see on the GFS for Saturday morning? Saturday morning, rainfall to the south of us. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. What do we see on Sunday morning? Sunday morning, rainfall to the south of us. Sunday afternoon, rainfall across some eastern, central, western parishes once again. What do we see on the GFS? Sunday morning, rainfall to the east of us. Sunday afternoon, rainfall across some eastern, central, western parishes. What do we see on Monday morning? Monday morning, not really seeing much of anything. Monday afternoon, we're seeing a rainfall across section of some central eastern parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Monday morning, rainfall to the south of us, rainfall to the north of us, rainfall across the far eastern end. Then on Monday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall to the south of us, rainfall across the far eastern end. And then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Tuesday, October 14. On the Euro, we're seeing rainfall to the north of us. Then on the GFS, for the same time period, Tuesday, October 14, we're actually seeing rainfall across most parishes. Very interesting. We're seeing that there's a little bit more moistening up of the atmosphere in and around Jamaica and the Caribbean by the end of the next 7 days. So by mid-month, looks like we're going to be getting an increase in rainfall, and we'll take it because we're in the month of October. It's usually that time of year, climatology, that we get more rainfall. So bring it on. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement that within the next 7 days there should definitely be an increase in rainfall. Both maps right here showing the rainfall that's expected from now until Tuesday, October 14. The GFS just getting up into the reds and the dark reds, maybe up to 2 inches of rainfall. The Euro a bit more robust, showing some even purples around Jamaica. We also see a lot of that across the same spots as yesterday, across the Cayman Islands, Cuba, Bahamas, and where we have Tropical Storm Jerry trailing right now. You can see its snail trail right here. You can see the exact path it's going to take across the waters of the Atlantic. And we also see the usual same amount of rainfall totals across northern South America into Central America. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with that, so the chances are higher. Even although the GFS is trying to incorporate more of the Leeward Islands, the Euro not so much. We'll see it actually plays out. And regarding Jamaica's rainfall totals for the next 7 days, the Euro going up into the yellows and the oranges that represent anywhere from 30 all the way up to maybe 50 millimeters of rainfall. GFS almost something similar over the next 7 days from now up until Tuesday, October 14. We'll see it actually plays out, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Regarding what's happening across the rest of the Caribbean, as stated, there's a tropical wave across the Greater Antilles, another tropical wave across the Eastern Caribbean. Tropical Storm Jerry right here, that system that has a low chance of development across the Yucatan into the southwestern Gulf over here. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar imagery near Puerto Rico, let us see what's taking place down there right now. Alright, so as you can see here on the Doppler radar imagery near Puerto Rico, not really seeing much of anything across Puerto Rico right now. We do see some rainfall just to the east of the British Virgin Islands, to the west of the US Virgin Islands. A lot of moisture here in and around St. Martin. Some moisture right here to the east of Guadeloupe and Dominica. Very interesting. And if we load these images from earlier today, you can see where there was a lot of rainfall, moderate to heavy rainfall at that, across eastern, southern, and southwestern Puerto Rico. Regarding the Barbados radar, also seeing a lot of moisture in and around the area, pushing from east to west. If you heard, there was even a tornado that was spotted affecting portions of Trinidad. So the weather is definitely getting dangerous these days. A lot more moisture coming in. These things can definitely happen. So don't think that Jamaica can be spared from all of this. You can definitely get into some of the tornadic activity. But as of right now, we're seeing a lot of moisture just to the east of the islands, pushing towards west. Barbados already getting in on some of the moisture. So to the Grenadines, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Grenada. The weather wave Doppler radar images also confirming some rainfall across section of Florida, the Bahamas, section of Cuba, the Yucatan. Definitely the Yucatan associated with that area that has a low chance of development. And within the next 24 hours, all of these areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds could get in on an inch or less of rainfall. We're talking about the Florida into the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, much of the Leeward Islands into the Windward Islands, so too portions of northern South America into Central America. Regarding what's taking place on the eastern Pacific side of things, we're still watching Tropical Storm Octave and Hurricane Priscilla just here to the west of Mexico. To the south of Mexico, we're still watching that area that has a high chance of development within the next 7 days. Octave right in here starting to be sucked up as it pushes towards the northeast into the tail end of Priscilla. Priscilla looking quite formidable with the huge eye right in here. And this code red right here, something that has a high chance of development within the next 7 days as it parallels the Mexican coast and pushes off towards the west-northwest. We know that if something should form off this code red, the next name on the list after Priscilla is Raymond. Regarding Tropical Storm Octave, it is now packing 45 miles per hour winds, so it's a low-end tropical storm, moving towards the east-southeast right now at 8 miles per hour. Then it should make an eastward turn, then an east-northeastward turn, back to tropical depression status as it pushes into Priscilla, which is now a 110 mile per hour hurricane. We know that system is at pack. Up to 110 mile per hour hurricane winds are classified as category 2 hurricanes, and I'm sure it could definitely make it up to major hurricane status. Wouldn't be surprised if it happens before it dies out. But the hurricane center is still showing H's, represents category 1 to category 2 status, even although it's so huge. Wouldn't be surprised if it is already a category 3 right now. But as of right now, it is moving towards the west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. We see that they still have tropical storm watches up for portions of Cabo San Lucas, the Baja Peninsula right in here. Because look how huge the tropical storm wind field for the system is, so they could get on some bad weather associated with this system for sure as it pushes off towards the northwest. And even although much of the rainfall should be out to sea, even some southern portions of Cabo San Lucas could get in on some isolated 1 to 2 inches or 25 to 50 millimeters of rainfall. Regarding what's taking place on the western Pacific side of things, we now have a code red right here to the south of where we have Typhoon Halong. And if we take a look, we can see that classic buzzsaw shape with that hurricane to the south of Japan. So I'm sure right now it is a 120 knot hurricane. Let me see, that's about the same as a super typhoon if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, 120 knots definitely. Anywhere from 113 to 136 knot, category 4. So it's definitely up there in the intensity, category 4 super typhoon, pushing towards the north and then towards the northeast. Definitely gonna be missing Japan entirely, and we're grateful for that because we have friends or relatives who live or work in that country, so we're grateful that it is missing in general. But we need to highlight the fact that a hurricane just pushed into Vietnam and southern China once again, and we have a lot more footage coming out of the usual social media platforms, Volcaholic and Weather Monitor. First of all, Volcaholic posted here Vietnam, stating the hydropower dam in Lang Son province collapsed today after heavy rainfall caused a surge in water flow. Look at this. Imagine a dam that is supposed to be, collecting water and distributing water to the public in their pipes, collapsed, and all of the water is just pushing out. I hope that people are not really affected by that. Another clip right here. The current situation, devastating flood, is prompting urgent rescue efforts for stranded residents in Vietnam. And we see the inundation that took place because of the flooding from the system that just made landfall. Look at that. This is crazy. This morning, flood rescue as massive flooding hit the same areas in Vietnam. Look at the crazy flooding and rescue taking place. This is just ridiculous, boy. I just hope that the people are actually safe, because this kind of stuff is what we don't want to see. Hold on. Lightning, even lightning in all of this. My goodness. Alright, we just can just hope for the best for all of these people. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.